When's the last time you were truly unavailable? Like fully, guiltlessly, unapologetically unavailable. Phone down, not performing, not managing anyone, not checking in, following up, being there, or holding space. Just gone. Just yours. Can you even remember? Because for a lot of us, and I mean it a lot, being available isn't something we choose. It's something we became slowly and over years. We became the one who always picks up, the one who always responds, the one who makes herself easy to reach, easy to lean on, easy to access. And somewhere along the way, we started to believe that that was our value, that being needed was the same thing as being loved, that being there for anyone was the same thing as having a life. It's not. The moment you stop being so available, everything changes. Not someday, not eventually, everything. So let me paint you a picture. She wakes up, and before she's even fully conscious, she's already responding to messages, to needs, to the emotional weather of everyone around her. She's the friend who always checks in first, the one who remembers everyone's problem and asks about them, the one who picks up on every shift in energy in a room and quietly adjusts herself to smooth it over. She's the daughter who manages her parents' feelings, the colleague who covers, helps, stays late, and the partner who anticipates, accommodates, absorbs. She's good at it. She's really good at it. And everyone around her benefits from it enormously. But ask her what she needs, it's blank. Ask her what she wants, she has to think about it for a weirdly long time. Ask her when she last did something purely for herself with no productivity attached, no one benefiting from it but her. And she laughs a little awkwardly and changes the subject. That woman is exhausted, not because she's weak, not because she's doing anything wrong exactly, but because she has been running on output for so long she's forgotten there's an input side to this equation. She has been so available to everyone else's life that she hasn't had time to actually build her own. And the tragedy isn't that she's giving too much. The tragedy is that she doesn't have even realized how much loss in the process. Pieces of herself, her own voice, her own rhythm, her own sense of what she actually wants her days to feel like. She's been so busy being accessible that she's become a little inaccessible to herself. So I want you to talk about why this happens because it's not random. It's not just some people are naturally givers. For a lot of us, these patterns has roots, deep ones. Maybe you grew up in an environment where things felt unpredictable, where keeping the peace was survival, where making yourself useful meant you were less likely to be ignored, criticized, or left. And so you learn very young that being available, being helpful, being easy, being there made you safe. It made people stay. It made people love you. It made you valuable. That's called funny. And it looks really beautiful from the outside. It looks like generosity and loyalty and warmth. But from the inside, it feels like low grade terror at the idea of ever being too much or not enough or just simply being available. Because what if they need you and you're not there? What if they pull away? What if they decide you're selfish? What if the love was always conditional on your usefulness? And the moment you stop being useful, it evaporates. So you stay available, compulsively, reflexively, not from abundance, from fear. And I want to say this gently but clearly that this is not a personality trait. That is a wound that learned to look like a virtue. And you are more than allowed to heal it. So let's talk about the actual cost. Because we talk a lot in this space about giving and pouring and filling others' cups. But I want to get specific about what chronic availability actually takes from you. It takes your time, obviously. But we know that what's less obvious is what else it takes. It takes your identity. When you're always responding to what other people need, you never get quiet enough to hear what you need. You don't know what your natural rhythm is because you've always bent it to someone else's. You don't know what your real opinions are because you've softened them so many times to keep that peace. You don't know what brings you genuine joy, not perform joy, not productive joy, because you've spent so long finding joy through being needed. It takes your energy. And I don't mean this is a vague wellness way. I mean it literally. Every interaction, every check in, every emotional task you perform for someone else, that costs something. And when you never have stretches of real unavailability, you never actually recover. You're running on empty and calling it strength. It takes your standards because when you're used to giving a lot and receiving little, you start to normalize the imbalance. You start to think that one sided is just how relationships are, that you're the strong one, and the other people are just not like that. And you accept less than you deserve because you've never actually sat still long enough to realize you deserve more. And maybe most painfully, it takes your mystery. There's is something quietly magnetic about a woman who is not always available. Not because she's playing games, not because she's cold, but because she has a life, an inner world, things she's standing to that have nothing to do with you. That interiority, that sense that there is more to her than what she gives you. That is attractive. That is interesting. That is the energy that makes people lean in. And you cannot have that if you're always there. So I want you to try something. Not a grand gesture, not a cold withdrawal, nothing dramatic. Just an experiment. So for 1 week, just 1 week, I want you to introduce intentional unavailability into your life. And I want to watch what happens. Don't respond to every message immediately. Not because you're playing games, because you're busy living. Don't volunteer to solve every problem that lands near you. Don't check in first for once. See who checks in on you. Don't feel every silence in a conversation because it feels uncomfortable. Let it be uncomfortable. See what's on the other side. Spend some time of that reclaimed time on yourself, aggressively, unapologetically on yourself, on the thing you've been putting off, on the creative project that has no audience yet, on the workout that's just for you, on the long bath with no podcast playing, just quiet, on the version of your life that isn't in service of anyone else. Notice who respects it. Notice who gets weird about it. Notice who doubles down on needing you and the moment you become a little less available. Not because they miss you, but because they miss the function you were performing. That information is worth everything because it tells you very clearly, very quickly who in your life is there for you and who was there for you, what you were giving. Those are two very different things, and you deserve to know the difference. I have to be straight with you about something. This is going to feel bad at first, not a little uncomfortable, actually bad. Because when you pull back, even slightly, even healthily, some people will react. They will call you distant. They will say you've changed, or probably not as a good compliment, but they will suddenly need you urgently the moment you become less available, which is convenient timing, isn't it? They will make you feel guilty for having a boundary you never had to explain before because you never enforced it before. And that guilt, it's going to feel like proof that you're doing something wrong. It's not. It's proof that dynamic is shifting and some dynamics need to shift. Here's the thing about guilt in this context. Guilt is not always a moral signal. Sometimes it's just a withdrawal symptom. You were addicted to being needed, to being the one who everyone leans on, to the identity of she's always there. And stepping back from that feels wrong the same way stopping any habitual behavior feels wrong. Not because it is wrong, because it's unfamiliar. Let the discomfort exist without immediately trying to fix it by making yourself available again. Sit in it, breathe through it, let it teach you something about which of your relationships are built on mutual love and which ones were built on your endless output. Now, let me tell you about the good part, because there is a very, very good part. When you stop being available to everything, you become deeply available to the right things. That's the shift nobody warns you about. You suddenly have time to sit with your own thoughts without immediately escaping them. You start hearing yourself again, your actual voice, your actual desires, your actual opinions before you've softened them for public consumption. You start building things not for anyone, not for an audience, not because someone needs it from you, just because you want to, because it matters to you, because that's who you are when you're not performing availability. Your standards quietly rise, not aggressively, not with a list of demands. They just rise naturally because you've spent enough time to alone with yourself to remember what you actually deserve. And you stop accepting the bare minimum from people because you no longer need their presence badly enough to accept it at any cost. And something else happens. The right people come closer. The ones who were slightly intimidated by how much you gave because it felt like a current they couldn't match. They relax because now there's room for them to show up too. Relationships start to feel more equal, more sustainable, more real because you're not drowning them in availability anymore. You're just present. When you're there fully, genuinely, and that version of you is so much more magnetic than the version that was always you. So we've talked about a lot of things in these last few conversations. We talk about how no one is coming to save you. We talk about just letting people go and letting people misunderstand, letting go of the grip, and now we're here at the final piece, which is this: you cannot do any of it, the saving yourself, the letting go, the becoming, if you are chronically, compulsively, fearfully available to everyone but yourself. It all requires the same thing. So, space, your own time, your own energy, your own inner world that isn't immediately offered up to whoever needs it next. Becoming unavailable isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming full. Full enough that when you do show up for people, it's from overflow, not from scraps, not from obligation, not from the anxious need to be needed, but from genuine, chosen, joyful generosity. Because you're not depleted, because you actually have something to give. And that woman, the one who is full, who is rested, who is deeply rooted in herself, who gives because she wants to and withdraws because she needs to, and doesn't apologize for either. She is not selfish. She is not cold. She is not too much or not enough. She is hers, fully, completely, finally hers. And everything changes when you become her. So that's it for today. Take care and go be unavailable for a while. You've earned it. So bye.